Here are the 10 best GTA games that aren't GTA games. Number 10, the Watch Dogs series. Ubisoft's Watch Dogs sits in a weird middle ground when it comes to assessing what the world of GTA alikes has to offer. The series, 3 games strong at this point, has never enjoyed outward critical acclaim on the scale of some of the games present on this list, but conversely the trilogy isn't perched below the baseline of what's considered average either. That being the case, Watch Dogs doesn't have as much universal appeal, Ubisoft games rarely do, as its contemporaries. If you adore open world action-adventure, that's not a guarantee you'll instantly love Ubisoft's attempts to combine the genre with stealth-oriented trappings. Metal Gear Solid this ain't, but Watch Dogs offers novelty in spades as far as sandboxes go thanks to its sleuthing antics complemented by various gameplay systems based around hacking afforded to it by its quasi-futuristic setting. Yes, it can be finicky and not a single entry in the trilogy has a particularly memorable plot, but if you're in the market for an open-ended experience that dares to do something different other than directly ape GTA, then there's a lot to love here, especially for the tech-savvy. Number 9, Red Faction Guerrilla. Combine Graham Greene's short story The Destructors with an extraterrestrial setting and you've pretty much got the basic framework of what Red Faction Guerrilla is all about. While the series' third entry does away with the terrain destruction and alteration present in its predecessors, Volition made said sacrifice to refocus their efforts on delivering structural annihilation on a scale previously unseen. As Alex Mason, players can methodically or explosively dismantle essentially any man-made structure they're presented with. Give in to your inner anarchist and just devolve into wanton destruction without actually assisting the titular Red Faction in overthrowing an oppressive regime if you so desire. But you'd be doing yourself a disservice in ignoring Guerrilla's main course, as its GeoMod 2.0 engine opens up a wealth of possibilities on how to approach mandatory and optional missions. In lesser games you'd have to don a disguise to get through an enemy checkpoint unnoticed and infiltrate their stronghold. In Guerrilla you can destroy said checkpoints and headquarters with little more than hardy construction tools and explosives worth more than the GDP of an entire country. The reward? Witnessing silly human buildings becoming a hail of debris before your very eyes. Number 8, Sleeping Dogs. Released during a time when gamers were growing bored of visiting the same handful of North American cities time and time again, Sleeping Dogs, like Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed, champion an altogether different culture and setting to let players loose in. Indeed, protagonist Wei Shen's trials and tribulations as an undercover cop in the former largely take a backseat to the world around him, itself presented in painstakingly realistic detail. Modern-day Hong Kong represented something of an alien playground for long-time action-adventure fans, just as Assassin's Creed 1's Holy Land had before it. This is a not insignificant achievement for United Front Games, who had only had the obscure Mod Nation races under their belt before joining up with Square Enix to deliver Sleeping Dogs. That's not to say that Shen's story is throwaway by any means. Sleeping Dogs was quite rightly lauded for its authentic voice acting and characterization, but it's the setting, together with thoroughly enjoyable combat and progression systems, that make it one of the 2010's biggest surprise hits, which is worth revisiting time and time again. Number 7, the Just Cause series. Just Cause is stupid in the best way possible. Excluding the series' first entry, that is, which delivered a more muted experience, Avalanche Studios made the genius decision to distance subsequent sequels from Rockstar's flagship franchise by doing away with any concept of realism and going all in on absurdity. Released just 2 years after Grand Theft Auto 4, Just Cause 2 capitalised on criticisms of too much realism levied at the former, becoming a bombastic alternative, a reputation that Avalanche has successfully nurtured ever since. Protagonist Rico Rodriguez isn't so much a secret agent as he is a bona fide superhero, able to pull off feats far beyond anything James Bond could boast, and it's all largely thanks to a simple grappling hook. Traversal, or more accurately discovery, of the myriad ways Rico can get around whatever island he happens to be liberating is the core of Just Cause's entertainment factor. This is, after all, a series that lets players surf passenger planes and pay homage to Dr. Strangelove by riding literal missiles as if they were Kong himself. Number 6, LA Noire. Barring its at the time groundbreaking facial recognition tech, everything else in LA Noire feels a little stiff and clinical. It's a quirk of the game that's hard to qualify beyond that, but suffice it to say that it often feels like Team Bondi had to make concessions elsewhere in the game to ensure its key gameplay hook stuck the landing. Whatever sacrifices, if any, had to be made, Cole Phelps' believable rise from patrol officer to detective in 1940s Los Angeles is deftly handled, delivering a story that's arguably far better than anything Grand Theft Auto has ever produced. The accompanying open world components, on the other hand, are bare bones by comparison, but Phelps can explore downtown LA during his downtime between cases, and is rewarded for doing so with chance encounters with NPCs and shiny new cars to show off to his colleagues. In a perfect world where Bondi had infinite time and resources, stumbling upon optional criminal cases not tied to the campaign while out and about would have substantially extended LA Noire's longevity. But what's here is still worth the visit. Number 5, Mad Max. Taking a time out from Just Cause in 2015, Avalanche managed to secure the lucrative gig of creating a Mad Max tie-in to capitalise on Fury Road's release in the same year. Despite their proximity, however, the two share little in terms of narrative. Avalanche's adaptation largely uses the IP to tell a standalone story about everyone's favourite post-apocalyptic anti-hero. One would think that using said setting as the foundation for an open-ended title would prove dreary and empty, but Avalanche sidesteps that trap, centering its world progression around Max's dearly beloved magnum opus. The car can undergo a dizzying number of upgrades via materials scavenged in numerous ways, namely by hijacking the rides of scavengers and using their parts to improve the Magnum's performance. Outside that, Mad Max borrows heavily from Ubisoft's Far Cry series by utilising a territorial threat system. Complete enough objectives in one zone and you'll ultimately set up an encounter with its leader, vanquish them to gain control of their stronghold, and a raft of gameplay benefits. That, combined with survival light systems such as limited ammo and fuel for the Magnum, make Mad Max a markedly different experience compared to its contemporaries. Number 4, Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 pushed the boundaries of everything thought possible, not just in its native genre, but the medium as a whole. The temptation to wax lyrical over everything great about Arthur Morgan's heart-wrenching story is oh so difficult to resist. Chances are you already know, directly or otherwise, the level of utmost care and attention afforded to every facet of Rockstar's tribute to the Old West, but it came at a cost. Reports of crunch culture needed to make Rockstar's dream a reality flew thick and fast following the sequel's release, calling into question if a game of such quality was justified if it meant putting the physical and mental health of employees at risk to do so. It's a debate that still, and in fact should, rage today, despite the backdrop of Red Dead Redemption 2 earning its label as one of the greatest games of all time, even if it does indulge a little too much in realism for the sake of immersion. Had its online component followed closer in GTA Online's footsteps and placed greater emphasis on heists and the building of a criminal empire, it would have GTA 5 beaten in every respect. Number 3, The Saboteur. Another win for non-American settings. The Saboteur is likely the most unfamiliar entry here, but certainly through no fault of its own. Yes, the game's modest budget is often too blatant to ignore, but dig deeper than the wobbly visual fidelity and questionable voice acting and you'll find a novel, rare exploration of civilian life at the height of World War II in a format not glamorised a la Call of Duty. Unwittingly drawn into the French resistance following the murder of his best friend at the hands of an SS officer, Irish immigrant and former race car driver Sean Devlin becomes an instrumental figure in helping to liberate Paris from German occupation. By disrupting the regime's operations through various means, Sean can sequentially liberate portions of France's capital, driving out its unwelcome visitors. Think Far Cry's outpost liberation system, but better and with more variation. A fantastic visual representation of this oppression-turned-liberation is Pandemic's decision to have Paris initially presented in only black and white. As Sean liberates sections of the city, colour seeps back in, restoring the City of Love to its former glory piece by piece. Sadly, Pandemic closed its doors for good following the release of The Saboteur, so it's unlikely we'll ever see a sequel. Number 2, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It took CD Projekt Red 3 games to get there, but everything it learned about open-world action RPGs finally culminated with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt in 2015. Bursting with superbly written dialogue, unparalleled characterization of the narrative's major players, and commendable, if slightly lacking combat, every major component of the third outing mixed perfectly to deliver a concoction smoother than butter itself. Strictly speaking, Wild Hunt is an outlier here, as its setting doesn't exactly exhibit overt similarities to GTA, though both titles prioritize player freedom outside of their respective campaigns. You're free to go and do whatever you please when not actively searching for Ciri's whereabouts, and, thanks to the added gameplay depth that RPG systems allow, can curate Geralt's attire, powers, and moral compass to your liking. If your adoration of GTA is born specifically from its setting and satirist nature, Wild Hunt might not be your cup of tea. On the other hand, if a well-realised fictional world reinforced with exploration and industry-best writing is your bread and butter, then The Witcher 3 is here to suit your every need. Number 1, The Saints Row series. Grand Theft Auto isn't exactly renowned for taking itself too seriously. The series has always had a love affair with parodying American culture after all, but compared to Saints Row, Rockstar's billion-dollar franchise is highbrow academia. Just like Avalanche with Just Cause, Volition took a look at GTA's DNA under the microscope and decided it could do with some alterations, namely dialing the absurdity way beyond healthy levels. For over a decade, Volition has been throwing caution to the wind with increasingly outlandish premises with every new installment. Thanks to dated gameplay and performance woes, the 2022 reboot sadly failed to reach the high of its predecessors, with the mid-2010s offering Saints Row 4 and its standalone expansion Gat Out of Hell still considered to be the pinnacle of zany the IP has become primarily known for. Time travel, computer simulations, and even off-world shenanigans, there's no trope the series developer will hesitate to commandeer in the name of entertainment because, not to digress, it just doesn't care about being serious. Saints Row delights in billing itself as the ultimate digital playground, and Rockstar could stand to learn a thing or two from GTA's closest relative.